Okay, hello everybody, welcome back. We are going to continue with the story, The Day the Rolettes Got Their Moxie Back, by going over the comprehension strategies. So starting off is making predictions. We talk about this a lot in my class. Making a prediction is very similar to making a guess, but the only key difference is you're using information that you already have. So it's like an educated guess. You take the information you already have, and then you use that to make a guess on what you think will happen next. So as we read the story, there's going to be clues that help us predict things correctly. So make sure we are paying attention as we read and making notes in the stories. This also helps us read with purpose. Reading with purpose is just giving you a reason to read, and it makes you want to intake as much information as you can and pay attention at a high level. So as we read, we can always find out if the predictions we made were correct, and if not, we can always revise them when we are done. So don't worry about making incorrect predictions. Everybody makes incorrect predictions because it is impossible to make predictions correct all the time. Now, if we look at the example, this one is making a prediction based just from the title. So we can make predictions about a story based on things before we've even read them. So we can look at the title and we can look at the pictures and things like that, and the genre, and all these will give us information we can use. It says, I predict that the main characters in the story will be the Rolettes. I don't know what Moxie means, but the story will probably have a positive ending since the Rolettes will get back something that they have been missing. And of course, we know this is true. And as the story goes on, we will obviously learn what Moxie means, as I explained in the last class. So what I want us to do is, based on the girls' reactions to the letters from their older brother, Ricky, what did you predict might happen next? As you read, use the strategy to make predictions. So if you remember, earlier in the story, they had letters from their older brother. So make a prediction or think back to what you was thinking at the time. And did you predict that their emotions or their reactions were the ones that happened in the story? Okay, next we have compare and contrast. We did this with our last reading, so hopefully we remember. If not, comparing is comparing two things that are similar. And then contrasting two things that are different. Okay. So it's very important to compare and contrast because it helps us understand better their personalities and actions and how this affects the events, or the events change the way they act and the way they feel. So it's very important to look at characters' traits. So traits are the way they are behaving, things that they do, their actions, and then their responses to events. Now we have 5 circles here. We have 4 characters and the event. So let's start at the event. It says dinner at the Rolettes. Then we're going to compare and contrast everybody who was there. So the mother is singing, trying to make things better for everyone else. The father is sullen. He's very upset. He's shaking his head and he's tired. Shirley is quiet but excited, dreaming of the show. And Ruth is also excited, fidgety, and dreaming of the show. So these two are very similar. We can compare these two. We can also make some comparisons to their mother because she's trying to make things enjoyable. But then everybody will be contrasting with the father as his actions and his emotions are the opposite. Okay, we will do something like this for our homework, so make sure we're paying attention. We will choose a different event for our homework, and then we will go into the characters in more detail. Okay, next, this story is a historical fiction. Historical, deriving from the word history, which if we study history at school, we know is about past events. So a fiction, a story that is not true, but is based on real past events, which means that events and settings will be based around things that happened in real life. Maybe the story of the family is not true, but the typical time period struggles and the things that would happen in that time period is true. So characters who act like and speak the dialect of people from a particular place in the past. So if you're studying about people from 300 years ago, they're going to use different words than we use now. So even though the story might be a fiction, it's going to have some elements of truth about it because it is a historical story. And if we don't know what dialect means, dialect is just the speech that is typical to a place or time. So if you think to people who live in Busan, they speak and sound different to people that live in Daejeon. So dialect can change. It can mean different words, phrases, idioms, and they might sound unfamiliar, but that's why we have our teachers. And if there's anything you don't understand, we should always ask our teacher to explain. And last of all, we have idioms. We have covered this topic a little bit in class before, but let's remind ourselves, an idiom is an expression that is not defined by the words in it. Now, I know that doesn't make sense, but just keep listening. We will use the surrounding words and sentences to give ourselves clues, okay? For example, a bolt from the blue. Now, this doesn't mean a bolt came from something blue, which can be a little bit confusing. But if we think about a bolt, we think about lightning and how quickly and unpredictably it can strike. Letters often come unexpectedly, as if out of nowhere. That must be the meaning. So out of the blue means like a surprise, randomly. So a bolt, lightning bolt, so quickly and unexpectedly is what this means. Next, I want us to do the same for these 4 idioms we have at the bottom. So we find them on the pages given, and then we try to figure out their meaning based on information we have and based on the neighboring sentences. They will always give us clues so we can work them out. Okay, and that's everything for today, everyone. So I'll see you all very, very soon, and thank you very much.